Can you believe it? The Tennessee Titans started off 2025 with a win bigger than anything that happened in 2024. And welcome back to the Titan Bros video. I am your host, Gabriel Pilcher, joined with me, I would say as always, but it's kind of 50-50 these days, but joined by one Josiah Pilcher.
Howdy, so how's it going?
It's a going.
I feel
Can't believe I'm saying this. Go ahead.
I feel a smidge better this video than I did last video, that's for sure. So that's a plus.
Yeah, I will say I always listen to our videos a couple days after we upload them to make sure everything sounded good, see what we need to do better at, worse at, whatever. And yeah, you didn't sound good. It always sounded gross. But but you sound like gross. The tight. Yeah, your mom looks gross. Oof, that's my mom too. Anyways, you weren't sounding so hot. You sounded like the 2024 Tennessee Titans season. And thankfully it's over, just like your nasty sound could very well be over. All right, that being said, what a disaster of a season 2024 was that somehow ended with a 2-game lose streak to get Tennessee Titan fans like myself very excited and at least intrigued about what this offseason could be.
Yeah, I would say this, going into the season, a lot of people had, and I think this is you, had us going to the playoffs with the additions we had in offseason stuff. Then there was fans like me who's like, I don't think we'll be quite as good as we thought. But here's the thing. I said we just missed the playoffs. I think you're lying if there's a Titan fan out there who said that they thought we was going to get the number 1 overall pick. Like, no one saw us being that bad. And we was horrible. So, yeah, what a dreadful season it was. But at least it ends with a positive note.
It does. And we were talking about this before I hit live. We said 5 weeks ago, nobody in the world, including the Tennessee Titans, were talking about getting the number 1 pick. We're like, the only way we'd ever get our number 1 pick is if we lose out, which is Mac Jones, possibly the backups of the Texans. We have to lose out, and then we would need the terrible Giants to beat somebody. We would need the sucky Jags to lose at least this game as well as this game, which technically they did with losing to the Raiders and then beating the Raiders and then beating us the very next week. Like all these things that we needed to happen, including the Patriots winning their last game against the Bills, it all literally fell into place perfectly. So after the season we just had, talking about things falling into place perfectly for the Tennessee Titans, it feels weird, but my golly, I am on cloud 9. This is the most excited I've been about this team since after the draft, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird because we did our part. We kept on losing. we didn't get any surprise win. But like you said, there was a lot of other teams had to lose or win, I guess, actually.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see it happening. So I never entertained the idea of us having the number 1 overall pick. And I'm shocked, but it happened. And now Titans are the number 1 or getting the number 1 pick, which the possibilities with that is endless. And I don't know if we're going to dive into that or not this video, but there's a lot we could do with that pick.
A whole
lot. I think you and I have different opinions on what to do with that pick, but
yeah, I agree. But here's one thing that I said in our last video that we did with our brother Titus is there are only positives about having the number 1 pick. You know what I'm saying? Like there is no downside, nothing bad, negative in any way, shape, or form about having the first overall pick, and I'm super excited about it. I'm trying to think of where I want to even take this video because I don't have any structure. Like basically the whole thing was supposed to be we got the number 1 pick. I will say Will Levis, it was nice to send him out because Will Levis, now he didn't have a future with the Tennessee Titans. He just simply didn't. He wasn't it, fam, as the kids say. But I liked him as a person. He looked cool. So it was nice. He gets to just uncork a big one to, I don't even remember the name. This is his first career reception. That was also a touchdown. Who caught that? It was just nice to see him uncork that to him and then find the open guy. Was it Josh Wiley? He threw it to.
Yeah.
It was nice to see. It was a nice little send-off. It was a little, all right, now go enjoy the rest of your career somewhere else. Maybe that made it where some desperate team's going to give up like a 5th round pick to trade for him or something like that. That would be nice, right?
Yeah, it would be. And though I am glad to see the Will Levis experiment be over, it's time to get somebody else in here. Now, because if you are honest and I'm honest, we both did not want him when we drafted him.
Nope.
And I'm just glad, 2 seasons later, it's over and we can move on and hopefully find someone else that we can finally say is the Titans franchise quarterback.
I agree. Now, let me see how I get this to play. But here's a video of me and you talking about our thoughts on this guy, Will Levis. Let's see, when we first drafted him.
I'm going to give that pick a D. The only reason it's not an F, I would give it an F if it was in the first round. Like if we instead of picking Peter Skronsky, if we picked Will Levis at pick 11, I would give it a complete F.
That was my immediate reaction the day we drafted Will Levis. So
Yeah.
honestly, I agree. I agree with me, it turns out.
I would say very, very rarely does somebody get better. Like in college, they're not great and they get drafted and boom, they're good. That does not happen very often at all. And that's basically what we was wanting Will Levis to do. Will Levis was not, in my opinion, very good in college. And then all of a sudden, we was hoping he would be a great franchise quarterback. I mean, obviously, if he's your quarterback, you're hoping for that, right? We don't want him to fail. But I think we all realistically knew that the chances of that happening was not very high. And 2 seasons later, we gave him enough games, in my opinion. He was not the guy, and it's time to move on. Yeah. But the sad thing, I think to me about the season, the sad reality is I thought going into the season, we was a quarterback away. Well, I was hoping we was actually just good enough to make the playoffs. But I was thinking early on, like, if we get ourselves a quarterback, we could be in the playoffs next season. But I think as the season played out, I'm like, there's more holes in this team than I thought there was.
Here's one excuse I'll make. One excuse I'll make is by far our best linebacker was Ernest Jones, and we traded him away. DeAndre Hopkins is not the DeAndre Hopkins of even last year, but DeAndre Hopkins was still our second best wide receiver. We traded him away. That's one thing. Also, Quandre Diggs out. Cushenberry out. Snead only played 4 or 5 games. Chidobe Awuzie only played 5 or 6 games. Like a lot of these big name people ended up just being injured and out or
Kinda
traded.
Happens with the Titans, I feel like.
Yeah, that's kind of just what happens. We start off strong and then not winning wise, but we start off roster wise strong and then trade away some big names and everybody else gets hurt. But that'd be my one excuse. But also one more thing that I will say is I can remember I said it over and over and over. You can probably find it in all types of videos we made in the offseason. And even though this might not be 100% accurate, I said it. The Tennessee Titans will go as far as Will Levis will take them. And he took them straight to the ground. And so I technically ain't wrong there.
Yeah, I would say I thought at the beginning of the season we played well enough to win a lot of games.
Especially defensively.
Will Levis was the reason we did not win, but I just feel like as the season went on, we would just begin to fall apart everywhere.
Yeah.
Now the problem is not the question I think the Titan fans have is was we like if we get a new quarterback in, does that help us a lot, or do we still have a coach problem? That's a question I think that we need to answer. And the thing is, I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. I don't know how I feel about Callahan. Paul to me says this is start fresh, get a new coach with a new if you draft a quarterback, get with a new quarterback. But the other part of me says, man, find a coach after one season just sounds like an unstable franchise to me.
Yeah, which we're starting to kind of stink of that, if I'm being 100% honest with you.
And I don't like this because I feel like the franchise just in itself is going backwards instead of forward. Like,
yeah.
Big time. Like
sadly, I agree.
There's being a bad team, but the franchise is not bad in the sense that like you trust that it's going to build itself back up. And then there's just being a bad franchise, and we are getting really close to being just a joke of a franchise, like the Cleveland Browns or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I said before, another thing I said before the season is the number one point of this season was to figure out if Will Levis was the guy or not. And I feel like we figured that out. This next season, we need to figure out if Ran and Callahan, like one more offseason, if Ran doesn't get fired, because there's rumblings he'll get let go. If he's not let go, this season needs to be about, can Ran draft? how is ran in player personnel, and can Coach Callahan cook? Can he cook? Can he coach? I must be hungry. Can he coach anybody? Because Will Levis is not a good fit with the Callahan system.
Yeah.
So when this is Callahan's opportunity to get his guy to run his offense, and we'll see how that goes. So in my opinion, that's what 2025 is about.
You know, I remember hearing someone say this, and I agree with it, but it sucks at the same time because I don't want to have a bad coach for a couple of years. But my thing is, I say, there's so many options we could do with the number 1 overall pick. But let's say we do get a quarterback, either Cam or Shedeur Sanders. I don't think it's good for a quarterback is you draft a quarterback, you have a head coach for one season, then he gets fired, and then you give him a whole nother new coach the next season. I don't like that. So I'm thinking we should fire Callahan to put a new coach with a new quarterback, or if we stick with Callahan, we got to stick with him at least for 2 seasons. And I hate to say that, but that's my opinion. I don't want to stick
You
with
mean
Callahan
2
for 1 year.
additional years, or
Like
you
this
just mean
season and the next
2020? Okay, so you're trying to say if we don't fire him right now, he needs to be around 2025
Yep.
and 2026.
I think that's if you're trying to develop a quarterback, I think that's a good thing. Most quarterbacks do not succeed with one head coach. Then the next offseason, they with a new head coach. That usually just ruins a young quarterback.
Yeah, well, remember Mariota, he had Ken Wisenhunt in
Okay.
2015. Then he had Terry Obisky with 2016, 2017. Then he had Matt LaFleur in 2018, and then he had Arthur Smith in 2019.
Yeah.
So he basically had a new offense every single
And that
year.
happens with a lot of young quarterbacks because a lot of times young quarterbacks are going to a franchise that's not stable, and that happens a lot. And I don't want to see that with Shedeur or Cam Ward. So that's when I say we get rid of Callahan, or we have to commit 2 more seasons with him, so he can build a relationship with his quarterback. We shall see. That's
if we draft one.
If we draft one, which
Because if we sign Aaron Rodgers, for a year, I don't think you need to keep Callahan 2 years.
I am so done with bridge quarterbacks. That's a whole other conversation. It's like we gotta get this franchise up and running. And Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, something like that, doing absolutely nothing with us except for making us another season bad without hope. Because if we draft a quarterback, we'll probably be bad next season. But at least we might have something to have hope in. And I think Titans franchise would be dumb just to do another bridge quarterback. In my humble opinion.
Yeah, we can have debates about that because I am not really sold on this quarterback class. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are saying these.
I think both of them are much better than what we have now. So I'm like, go for it. And
again, it's not whether it's better or worse than what we have now. We're not sticking with Will Levis or Rudolph. Like they're both gone. They're done. It's him versus free agent quarterbacks.
Here's another problem. We get ourselves a bridge quarterback. Yes, we're going to do better than we do if he's a decent bridge quarterback. We'll do better, but we'll still miss the playoffs. We'll miss the playoffs and get that 6 to 7 wins. Well, guess what? We need a quarterback, and we're not drafting high. So what does that do? Absolutely nothing for us, in my accurate but humble opinion.
Right, but if you do draft Shedeur Sanders and he does turn out to be just a second-round quarterback, basically Will Levis 2.0, like most people are saying he's going to be.
Shedeur or Cam Ward?
Shedeur. Cam Ward plays more like him. Shedeur Sanders. They're saying there are no first-round quarterback grades. That the only reason this is Kenny Pickett in the draft.
That's such a bull. I mean, these two both are better than every single quarterback in that draft, in my opinion.
Well, most people say that these two quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, would be quarterbacks 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 on this 2024 class. Like Penix would have gone before both of them. Bo Nix would have gone before both of them.
I don't know.
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels.
I don't know what to see because Shedeur, everybody loved him last year. Everyone loved him going into the season, and he had another good season. So I'm not sure why everyone's talking bad about him.
Well, the problem with Shedeur Sanders, he doesn't have any elite traits. Like he's he's decently strong arm. He's decently accurate. Oh, he's decently athletic. And he's just kind of like he's not elite at anything.
And another thing I like about him is he's got high football IQ. And I guess that's really attractive to me because I think Will Levis has very bad football IQ. Like Will Levis cannot read defenses. He could not see what was going on pre-snap.
Can't throw with anticipation.
Yes. Shedeur does all that because that's the word I heard to do, participation throws. And stuff like that to me, the more I watch football, that attracts that is more attractive to me than Will Levis, because Will Levis was the opposite. Will Levis looks beautiful some of his throws. but he couldn't read defenses. Go ahead, sorry.
Time will tell. It's not like I'm staking or claiming my stake. Like dumb sports people have a take and they feel like they can never waver off of it just because they said it with such authority initially. So it's not like I'm saying do not draft a quarterback, or it's not like I'm saying do draft a quarterback no matter what. I'm open to anything at the moment. But it's like one of those situations where Malik Willis was supposed to be a top 5 pick. But then after this NFL season was over, after the college season was over, then people started really going through the Malik Willis tape and the Malik Willis experience. And same with Kenny Pickett and Desmond Ridder and all those people who were supposed to be first-round picks. And then they're like, maybe not so much. Or then it could be the opposite. Anthony Richardson was not supposed to be that good. He was terrible in college. And then just out of nowhere, after he started throwing really far and running fast, then people are like, oh, because he can throw far and run fast, he might be an amazing quarterback. So then he just slid up everybody's draft boards the last month or so before the season, and then ends up going 4th overall. Obviously, he shows that he shouldn't have, because he literally got benched and then got put back in because Flacco decided to not play so swell. But they're a disaster. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is the opinion on these quarterbacks, for better or for worse, could change now that scouts are really going to work. All these bad football teams who are in positions to draft these quarterbacks are going to work and actually combing through the tape and all that. And then, of course, they can start having their visits, their top 30 visits and all that crap. So
am I the only one who says this? You know, something that does not impress me, and I could care less, is when you go to you watch them throw,
like at a pro day or something.
Pro day, that does not impress me at all, because someone like Will Levis can kill it in pro day. He's not reading defenses. He's just shown how beautiful his arm is, which it is. You could fall in love with a quarterback like him. You probably fell in love with a quarterback like Anthony Richardson in situations like that because they have such strong, powerful arms. But to me, game day tape means so much more to me than pro days.
I remember Zach Wilson making some wow throws at his pro day.
Like quarterbacks, people always stop falling in love with the quarterback they shouldn't during pro days.
I do agree with that. I will say it's just weird because I feel like we haven't really been a part of that pro day, drafting a quarterback, watching quarterback tape in so long, because it went from Mariota for almost 5 years to I would say Tannehill was more than a bridge quarterback because he ended up being around for almost 5 years. So we just weren't interested in quarterbacks or quarterback tape in so long.
I would say if Titans, and I know you don't make decisions off of this, so really what I'm saying is probably useless. But if Titans, and there's also some fans like you, I guess, but if Titans don't stick and pick a quarterback and we go trade to pick 7 or 8 and just get ourselves a tackle or something, I think there's going to be rioting in Nashville and people's, we already have a slim fan base as it is. If we just get ourselves something boring and we just get ourselves another Derek Carr or whoever, I know Sam Darnold, but I think you'll overpay him. And I just like something like that. Oh, that's going to kill this fan base. Absolutely kill us. It's time to get some hope with this franchise, because you got to admit, one thing with this team, we said it, there's nothing to look forward to at all with this season that we had.
It was a disgusting season, I will say that. But I think it just depends on how reasonable you are as far as a fan. Because here's the thing. I think you should never say never when it comes to trading out of that pick. Because
I agree with that, but they have to blow me out of the water.
What if somebody, I don't have the draft order ahead of me right now, but what if someone at the 7th or 8th pick wants to move all the way up to 1st, kind of like the Panthers did with Bryce Young, where they moved, weren't they picking at 9 and went from 9 all the way to 1st, something like that, and they gave up 3 first rounds, 2 second rounds. That's hard to pass up, especially if, now we don't know how they feel. Buck Reisner reported they don't like either of the quarterbacks, but that may or may not be true. And of course, Ryan Carthon might not even be the GM tomorrow, so that could all change. If we're not sold on a quarterback and the team wants to give us 3 firsts and 2 seconds and a 5th or something, how do you say no to that? Because if we're bad again, or even if we're not bad, we might have next year, whether it's Arch Manning or he stays in college for another year, Nico, however you want to pronounce that.
And I don't think Nico is a volunteer fan. I think he was slightly not as good.
Overrated.
Now he's 19 though. He's 19, and so he could still get better next season. But yeah, he underwhelmed a little bit more than he should.
I don't think they let him throw the ball enough.
Because I would say our receivers and linemen was dropping out like flies. So as the season was going on, he had less to throw to. There was a lot of drops, and he was running for his life. So that's probably one thing. But you're right. We didn't let him sling it. But anyway, but yeah, and that's another thing. As of right now, I'm like, is next draft quarterback's going to be much better? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the question. We'll see. Names will drop and some will rise, just like every single year. Because remember, Sam Howell, he was supposed to be that dude, and he stayed in college one more year and had a very underwhelming year. Actually, Will Levis did it. Will Levis' second to last year in college was way better than his last year. So that's why people like Arch Manning, who may decide to stay another year, might want to reconsider if he has a really strong 2025 season, because you could hurt your draft, but your stock. But I don't know. We ain't talking about them right now. We're talking about the fact that Tennessee Titans actually got that number 1 overall pick. A perfect storm happened at the end of a dreadful season, and I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a. Oh, yeah, yes.
I was just gonna say there is no coverage. If anytime you're getting covered on a national level, that's a good thing. And just the fact that we hold the first overall pick, the national media is gonna have to talk about us. You know what I'm trying to say?
They're probably not going to want to. They're going to so desperately hope we trade out of this. I would say
like they just say just trade out it and sometime in January, so we don't have to sit there and talk about the Titans all the time.
Yeah. And I would say though, if we trade out of the number 1 overall pick, we cannot guarantee that we're going to be picking top 5 anytime soon. Like it could be another 10, 15 years before we're in this position again. Maybe even
the way
longer.
this team looks, we could be picking on top 5 next year as well. Unless we have a really good player acquisition.
I don't want to get ourselves stuck with a bridge quarterback that's good enough where we won't be picking top 5, maybe not even top 10, but not good enough to win the playoff game. That's what most bridge quarterbacks do for you. And I was like, what does that do? That just sets us back again.
Well, I think if we get a bridge quarterback, it would be because we don't believe in Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. And if that's the case, I think the bridge quarterback has to be a 1-year deal, and that's it.
But what do you?
That's why I'll be honest with you. Sam Darnold, I'm done. I don't want a 3-year, $80 million type deal for him. Well, if we're going bridge, it needs to be a 1-year thing, and that's it.
But what if that bridge quarterback gives us 7-8 wins?
Here's the thing. If our plan is to go with a bridge quarterback, we're trading out a number 1. So, like, if it's the Giants, if the Giants trade up with us and take our pick at number 1, we're getting the Giants' second-round pick for the following year as well. So, like, a 2020 for 2026. So we'll have their high pick in 2026 plus our mid-teens pick. You know what I'm saying?
Say though, very rarely does things work out like it does for the Bears, where you do a trade like that, and then you get the number 1 overall pick again. Like the Giants might be bad next year, but what if they win 4, 5, 6 games, and then we'll pick them more like 9 or 10?
Most time 4, 5, or 6 is still like top 7. I mean, we were 6-11 last year, 6-11, and we picked 7. This is a historic year as far as how many bad teams there were.
I just think you got to pick a quarterback. 1, I like these quarterbacks. I really do. That's 1. But 2, again, I just think Titans are usually the best about staying right in the middle where you don't make the playoffs, where you barely make it and you get bumped in the first round, but you're not bad enough to pick a quarterback. Like we got ourselves in a spot that you can't guarantee that we're going to be back in. Like, pick your quarterback. Give Callahan something to work with, and let's see what happens, in my humble opinion. But obviously,
But here's the thing. I would agree only if they love the quarterback. Do you really think Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon are going to want to put their whole jobs on the line and draft a quarterback that they don't think is any good? Like, we have to do this because it's going to look kind of dumb if we don't take them,
I will say, though, I think you and I might have a different opinion on this. I actually think getting a bridge quarterback will get them fired faster than a rookie quarterback does.
Well, it depends on how good the bridge quarterback does. Because if you get a bridge quarterback and we go 8-9 or 9-8, then that's like, oh, look at that. We only won 3 games the 1 year. We won 5 or 6 games more this year. So Callahan, like, see, clearly I'm not the issue. We get better quarterback play. We get more than double the wins. So if I get a really good quarterback, we just watch out. Watch what we can do.
I mean, that's probably true. But I just think, let's say midway through the season, and with the bridge quarterback, we've won 2 games, that's fireable offense. Like, okay, we got yourself a solid veteran. You're supposed to be winning more. But if you're midway through the season with just a Shadil Sanders and you've won only 2 games, but you know what, Shadil's done a little like some stuff to impress you, is more likely like, you know what, Callahan will keep you going because you got a young quarterback that you're working with. That's my
See, I don't agree with that. I think if we go 3-12, and then next year with Shador Sanders we go 5-12? Yeah, 5-11, 5-12, whatever it is. I don't think they're gonna say, all right, you won 3 games the one year, only 5 the next. Let's do it again. Like if that happens, he's definitely 100% toast.
Again, I disagree. I just think if you have a young quarterback, and he still might get fired, but if he looks like he's really developing Shadil well, I think there's more likelihood to say let's keep him for one more season because it looks like they have a good chemistry with each other, what have you. But if you win 5 games, 6 games with a veteran quarterback, like let's get him out because once again,
let me put it this way. I think if we only win 5 or 6 games in 2025, regardless of if we go bridge or draft quarterback, he's done.
Yeah, I mean that's.
And in my opinion, he should be done. You can't go 2 seasons and win 9 games between 2 seasons. Like that's dreadful. I don't want any part of that. But anyways, we're not even supposed to be talking about. Of course, I say we're not supposed to be talking about Callahan. But if Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan or either of them get fired, next time we do a video, well, they're toast. They're already done. If that happens, it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah. What do they call it? Black Monday?
Black Monday.
Yeah, I would say it is. It's about to be that season when it's hard to know to believe what you hear because smoke screens, as they call it, and every team does it. So for instance, let's say we keep Carthon, and you hear a week later, I hear that Carthon's falling in love with those 2 quarterbacks. It would be like, is he though? Is he doing a smoke screen? Like you never know. So it's about to be that season. It's hard to know really what's going on.
It's funny you should say that because Benjamin Albright, I don't remember what company he's with, but he already tweeted out as soon as Titans got the number 1 pick, he already tweeted out and said, rumors are Titans are really high on Cam Ward. And then A to Z Sports reposted it and said, not true. So basically rumors are already starting, which that guy always annoyed me because the whole 2019 offseason, he was saying Mariota's on the hot seat. They like Tannehill better, but feel like they have to stick with Mariota. So if Mariota struggles, they're going to bench Tannehill or bench Mariota in a heartbeat for Tannehill. And then after week 6, when it happened, he took his big old victory lap, acting like he knew more than the Titans media did and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, you just got lucky, buddy. But yeah, he's the same guy who just said that. Titans like Cam Ward.
We should see. I would say I saw 2 people had the mock drafts. Again, I disagree with them. Well, I say mock drafts. It wasn't actually a mock draft. It was just who they think the top 5 picks are. They didn't even put down what teams are going to get them. They just think the top 5 players. One person didn't have either quarterbacks. And then the other person had Cam Ward instead of Shadil Sanders. And I was surprised with that because most people would say Shadil is better than Cam Ward. Most people will.
Cam Ward has a higher ceiling. Because, again, just goes back to Shador Sanders being mid on a lot of things. So Cam Ward definitely has the higher ceiling. But I feel like Cam Ward could also be a whole lot worse. Because Cam Ward's got a lot of Will Levis going on in his game, if you catch my drift. Not to that extent, because Will Levis is extremes. Is there anything we need to say before we get out of here, you think?
Is there going to be a lot of debate between you and me about what we should do, isn't there?
Probably. I just think that one of the worst decisions you could make is drafting a quarterback you don't like with the number 1 pick. You hope to never have that. Because it's possible for 2 things to be true at the same time. It is possible that Shador Sanders is the best quarterback in this draft. It's also possible that Shador Sanders isn't a top 15 pick as well. And that's when you have the whole situation like, do we stick and pick or not?
You and I see this differently, but with the number 1 pick, you gotta get yourself a quarterback. You'll be dumb to do anything else because you cannot guarantee we'll ever be in this position again. I mean, this is the first overall pick Titans have ever had in their history. It's such a quarterback game. You don't win without a good quarterback. We don't have a good quarterback. We haven't had good quarterbacks, a young rookie quarterback in a long time. Get yourself one and be actually relevant for the first time in Titans history in a long time. Gail, this is something we could agree on. How annoyed would you be if we stayed and picked Travis Hunter?
I would dislike that.
That
heavily.
would be the worst possibility thing to do. We don't trade to get other picks, and we pick a player. I'm like, we get a cornerback, really?
Yeah. And as we briefly discussed in our last video, us picking him just means either one, he doesn't even start, or two, Cheeto is a backup. Cheeto Awuzie, who's making $12 million a year.
I think he's
And
worth that, in my opinion, but go ahead.
and Jarvis Brownlee is just he don't see any playing time. He's nothing more than a special teamer.
I would not like that, but boy, does everybody love him.
A lot of people do.
And so I would be so excited because, obviously I want a quarterback, but if we're not getting a quarterback, trade and get some other picks.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah, if we're sticking and picking at number one, it needs to be quarterback. I will say that right now. I don't want us to stick and pick and get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter.
And I would ask this real quick: what's the lowest you would go for a trade? If you trade, what's the I guess highest? What's the highest you would go?
I don't want to go much past 7 or 8. Because 7 or
8, but honestly, I would rather 6 or so. But 8's the highest.
With people being so offense crazy, the first defense player didn't get picked until pick 16 this year.
Yeah, it was
so with us, with the way the things are, if we slide back to 7 or 8, we should either be able to get the best tackle, Kelvin Banks. We should be able to get Tet McMillan, the wide receiver, or Abdul Carter, like a top edge rusher. So those are 3 of our biggest secondary needs behind quarterback. So if we could trade back, get a crap ton of picks back, and get one of those guys there, that would be nice. But if we trade all the way down to pick 11, 12, 13, then it's possible we're just kind of rolling the dice on some random position.
Yep. I say I think we screwed up this draft if we don't get a player where that player is a game wrecker. If we trade, like you said, back to pick 12, and it's we get a tackle, that's the second tackle off the board. Then that's a waste of it. That was a bad draft in my opinion. You know what I mean? We need to get the top receiver, top edge rusher. We need to get the top something, or I'm gonna be mad. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If we're gonna trade that pick, one, I hope they traded us, something stupid. We're okay, that was dumb. And 2, I still want the top something in the draft.
Some teams do that.
Yeah, if we don't get the top of whatever we're getting, I think we screwed up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Now, in closing, I'm going to say this. Even though I'm not Shedeur Sanders no matter what on that train, like you or Zach Bingham on A to Z Sports is, even though I'm not on that train per se, if we do pick a quarterback, I am going to do like I do with every Titans quarterback. I am going to get behind them, probably be irrational, and hope for the absolute best. Even if we're like Cam Ward, we stick and pick Cam Ward at number 1, I'm not going to be happy at all. But I'm going to do just like I was. I couldn't be less happy than I was when we drafted Will Levis. You heard my recording earlier. I was not happy when we drafted Will Levis, but I was like, okay, I see the traits. He's the Titans quarterback. I'm going to root my heart out for this dude. And I'm going to do the same thing with either of these.
I'll be that way too. I just think it'd be so exciting in the offseason with a rookie quarterback, first overall pick quarterback. That'd be exciting to me. Preseason would be exciting. Training camp would be exciting. All that would be so exciting. Real quick, let me say this. Real quick, this just kind of popped in my mind. We was talking before this video about Bo Nix being a quietly good rookie.
Mm-hmm.
But I say one thing about Bo Nix, I remember them talking about the draft. Basically, what you said about Shedeur Sanders is what they said about Bo Nix. Bo Nix doesn't do anything amazing. He's not the strongest arm, this, but he's really smart. He's a smart guy. He knows what defenses are doing. He knows how to read defenses. He's got the football IQ. And everything else is secondary, but the football IQ drives him, and he's doing really well. So if that's Shedeur Sanders, I'm okay with that, as long as Callahan is Sean Payton. That's the question.
That's a big if.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Football is such a quarterback is such a IQ thing.
Yeah, it's very rare you have to uncork a 70-yard touchdown.
Exactly. It's very rare that you just have to, what do you do? That once, maybe twice a game, and sometimes probably not even that.
Yeah, Titans in 2022 was never, because remember, they used to bother us how badly we never took deep shots.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, but we got all kinds of discussions that can be had during this offseason. I can't believe I'm about to say this out loud. It's going to be an exciting time. I'm so excited to be a Titans fan, having the number 1 overall pick. We still got a good amount of cash, and we can clear a bunch if we want to as well, with cutting Arden Key. If we were to cut Chidobe Awuzie.
He's not that good, is he?
Yeah, he's not, but he's only $7 million a year, so I'm not really worried about his contract. Just it was a 3-year, $7 million a year deal, so I ain't really worried about him. But if we decide we want to cut him, if we decided to part ways with Chidobe Awuzie, there's the things we can do to get even more cap. So we got cap, we got draft capital. I'm excited. It'll be an exciting off season. Make sure you're liking if you've made it 34 minutes into this video. Make sure you're liking, you're subscribing, because we enjoy interacting with the people. the fellow Titans fans. Is there anything else you want to say before we get on out of here, buddy?
No, so I think I'm good. I've done
All
enough
righty.
ranting today.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some nice videos during the offseason. That'll be great. It'll be exciting. So thank you so much, Will Levis, for delivering one more loss to us, letting us down one more time. It actually made me happy. So tighten up, peace out, and all that jazz.